driving video. This is the Talking Road. This is a beautiful fall day on November something, 2025. The end of November or 1st of December. I'm not sure what day it is. 8:45 a.m. But yeah, that's a winter looking sky, and that temperature shows to be 43 degrees here in my Maverick pickup as we cruise down the highway. And yeah, it's a good day. I hope y'all are having a good day also. You can tell I've got a lot to talk about in this video, can't you? I mean, I just thought it was a nice winter looking day, and it is, and it feels, of course I got temperature control or whatever it is set on 70 degrees, quite nice inside my little spaceship here. But we're getting up on that Christmas season, right? And I was thinking about in the 1950s when I grew up on a little farm in Kennedy, Texas. We were about 3 miles, maybe a little over 3 miles from the little town of Kennedy, Kennedy, Texas. And, we raised corn, cotton, all that stuff, some little seed stuff called maize. Did I mention flax and stuff? And we had hogs. God, did we have hogs? Man, I've said that many times. We had Duroc hogs. We must have had 100 of them. God Almighty, if we made any money off of them, I don't know how we did it, but that was my job. Get up in the morning, feed the hogs, put water out, go to school, come back, feed the hogs. And to feed the hogs was not an easy job. We had an old pickup. And you had to load the whole back end. And we had an auger in this big old round metal thing that was full of grain and stuff. And in the auger, you'd put it down in there, and it ran off electricity, and it would fill the back of the truck with grain. And then we mixed some stuff in there, and then you'd go fill the feeders for the hogs, of which there were 4 large feeders with little doors at the bottom where the hogs could stick their snouts in and pig out, so to speak. And but you'd load that thing, and one pickup load would fill about a feeder and a half, and it went in with an electric auger. That's how you got it in the pickup bed. And then you drove around to the feeder, backed up to it, opened the top, and then came the work that you really had to be highly trained to do. You picked up a shovel and shoveled grain A into feeder B. And it took a lot of work, C. I mean, shit. Yeah. To fill the feeders after school, let's see, about an hour, a little over an hour, about an hour. And then by the time you fill the water stuff and check because see what would happen, the old hogs that have mud on their snouts, and when they dug around in the grain at the feeder, they'd plug up the little opening where the grain fell out. So you had to get we had a little metal tool, you could scrape all that old mud out. You had to get that out first before you filled the feeder and all that crap. There was a lot of shit to do. And then to fill the little water, we had 50-gallon drums with a little water spigot thing at the bottom that had a float, and it'd fill up and stop, fill up. Whenever the hogs drank water, it would fill back up. But anyway, enough said. But we didn't have any water pressure. We had an old windmill cistern. It was an actual windmill. It ran off wind, And so if it was full, it took we had a long-ass plastic water hose that ran all the way to the 2 big water tanks. Again, it was just 2 50-gallon drums. You had to fill them twice a day. And so you'd put that little hose in there before you started anything, because it would take forever to fill that 50-gallon drum using might have been a 1/2-inch garden hose with gravity feed from the windmill. Slow. My mother dreamed about having a yard. And it was a total dream because we had chickens that ran wild. They were what you call free roaming chickens. And so she bought her a, let me take a drink of water. Well, I'm trying to eat dark chocolate almonds and do this video, and I got my finger in the screen. So that'll help a little bit. Anyway, enough said. So back to the yard. My mother went to Western Auto, which was the big hardware store in our little town, and bought her a little sprinkler. Just, you just twist it on the end of the hose. It was just a little circular thing. He turned it on, and there wasn't enough pressure to make the sprinkler work. So the water just ran out on the ground, a little stream, and I felt kind of sorry for her. But, she tried. She put it out there, just religiously 2 or 3 times a day and try to get that grass to grow. But anything that grew, the chickens would scratch it out of the ground anyway. So she finally gave that up. And, in our house, you could walk outside just about any time of the day, and there would be chickens in the front yard, backyard, old roosters crowing and crap. It looked like the I can't remember the old family out in Kentucky or wherever they were, Ma and Pa Kettle. Looked like the Kettles, But anyway, yeah, that was kind of how things were in the 1950s for me in Kennedy, Texas. And at this time of the year, it didn't make any difference. It was cold and rainy. You still had to feed the hogs. The hogs didn't know it. They still wanted to eat. And so, yeah, it never stopped. I mean, if it was pouring rain or whatever, you had to go feed those damn animals, man. And, if it was time to harvest, like flax or whatever, when it was ready, you had to go get it. We had 2 combines, but the thing about flax, a good thing, I guess, if there was anything good about it, was you couldn't start too early in the morning, because they checked for the moisture level in the grain when you took it to the gin, and if the moisture content was high, you got less for it than you did if it was drier, because if it was, because they had to get it dried to keep it from, I don't know, mildewing or whatever it did. But so you didn't start doing your combining of flax until the sun was up, probably around 9 o'clock in the morning, which was good, because everything else, like picking cotton, you'd start at the crack of dawn, or butt crack, as somebody would say. Yeah. No, but I never even thought about it being hard work, to tell you the truth. It never occurred to me. The only thing I remember is, and I've said this in some other videos, is my friends or acquaintances that lived in town, if their mother told them to mow the grass, which would take about 30 minutes tops, they just moan and bitch and, oh no, I don't want to do that. And I'm thinking, geez, come on, we can knock that out in 5 minutes, I mean, that's nothing, and but they didn't have chores like I did. I mean, I had actual chores, and a lot of them, and I know I've mentioned this too, but I'd get home from school, feed the hogs, come in and have a hamburger, and by that time it'd be around 5 o'clock, maybe 5:30, and then I would go get on a tractor and plow until 10 p.m. And don't think I wasn't watching my watch. I had a watch, a Timex. And did it keep on ticking? As far as I know. But yeah, and we had a light. You had 2 lights on the tractor. One in the front, shining kind of down in the furrow, and then or where you needed to go, and then the one behind you showing what the plow was doing. And but we didn't have a hydraulic plows. You had to do it manually. You had to pull a rope that released a pin, and then as you pull forward, it would raise the plow up, and you'd make the turn, then you'd pull it again, and it'd drop down, and you'd be plowing again, and you had to plow. We usually plowed about 4 to 6 inches deep, and that old tractor was, you start pulling an 8-disc plow or 10 through some ground that hadn't been rained on in a while. That old tractor works pretty hard, and we called it a Poppin' Johnny. It was a John Deere. And but it would almost put you to sleep, because it was that same sound, boop, 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 over and over and over. And, you had to be careful that, or at least I did, that I didn't go to sleep, because, 10 o'clock, man. And then I'd go back home, we didn't have a shower because we didn't have enough water pressure. So you take a bath and then go to bed, and then we'd get up. I don't know, we probably got up about 6 because I think we caught the bus at the end of the road around 7, approximately, yeah. And yeah, but you had to be careful. We'd wait at the end of our road for the bus. It was old man Stockton drove our bus, but he chewed tobacco. I know I've told you this before probably, but anyway, when he opened the door at each stop, he'd spit. Okay, spit that old tobacco juice out. So you had to wait. When he opened the door, you waited. It only took you one time to learn, But no, he'd open the door, he'd spit, then we'd get on and ride the bus into town. And there was no air-conditioned buses or any of that crap. I'm not even sure they had heat. If they did, it was just right in the front. And yeah, but that was it. And then the same thing, he'd drop us off in the evenings, or if something was going on, I might stay in town a little later, but I still had to get home in time to feed the hogs and stuff. And I remember I was in a car accident one time with some buddies, and the police officer asked me if I was all right, because we didn't have EMS or any of that shit. We had a funeral home with the big old limo they have, and that was the EMS, I guess, and had a little hospital. But and I bruised my head and stuff. But anyway, he asked me if I was all right. Asked me if I'm all right. I'm standing up. I guess I am. And I remember telling him, I said, I got to get home. I got to feed the hogs. Yeah, that was a damn right, man. Got to feed them hogs, But anyway, we're in the real world back here. We're back to 2025 there. That old place has been there for a long time, called Fuzzy's Corner. I'm sure some of you guys watching this video may have been in there. And but anyway, I'm just reminiscing about old times in Kennedy, Texas, and on the farm and stuff. And did I have dogs for pets and chickens and shit? I had everything. I had a little, I can't remember, it was a red feathered chicken. I can't remember the name of that breed, but we had several of them. And I trained one of them just like a dog. I could whistle and had to hear come that damn chicken. And here's that gas station, $2.29 a gallon cash. Good luck with that. You get to the pump, it says $2.39, and it ain't changing. But anyway, enough said. What else can I tell you? But anyway, it's November something, 2025, and yeah, the world I lived in back when was like another planet, compared to what we've got now. It is totally. I mean, back when, and you could go into a coffee shop, and there'd be old farmers in there, 4 or 5 at a table, and they're talking about it's too hot, too cold, too wet, too dry, whatever, and nothing was ever right. And coffee was a nickel a cup, and they'd sit there and drink coffee at times when they didn't have anything to do at the home. And yeah, but there'd be several, there'd be 15 or 20 people at Nona's Cafe in Kennedy, and Nona was somehow kin to me. I'm not sure how, and yeah, it was. They had a pinball machine. Some of y'all probably can remember that. That was the kind of the first video games, and yeah. But the pinball game, well, that was a big deal. It was a nickel, but you could, if you were pretty good, because you could get points, and if you got enough points, you got a free game. Well, I was pretty good at that shit. So sometimes I'd look down and I'd have 6 or 8 free games, because it was just a matter of I guess you'd say physics, but timing was everything when you hit the ball, and it didn't take me long to learn when to hit it and when not, But anyway, enough said. We're going through Buchanan Dam now on the way to somewhere, and so enjoy your day, enjoy your holiday season with Christmas coming up, and cakes on the griddle or whatever, and yeah, it's 43 degrees. I think I said that earlier, but again, enjoy your life, put a smile on your face, and You know, if somebody sees you smiling, you watch them, they'll probably start smiling too, or else they'll turn around and walk away because they can't stand the fact that you're happy. Don't worry, be happy. Anyway, thumbs up, carpe diem, adios, bye bye. Use the Amazon link in the description of my videos if you choose to. Uh, doesn't cost you anything. Drink plenty of water, stretch, walk, stand guard at the door of your mind, and think about the good old days, if you had any. If you didn't, well, think about the good old days to come and make them happen. That's it. It's up to you, nobody else. Adios, guys. Bye bye.